Hello and welcome to Bottom Line. The second wave of COVID-19 is taking a bigger toll on the nation than expected. So grave is the situation that the country has recorded around 6 lakh cases in a span of just 3 days. So what are we in for? Is this second wave more critical than the first one? What led to this sudden surge at a time we assume that COVID-19 is almost a thing of the past? Are new COVID strains responsible for this rapid surge? At a time when numbers are increasing at a rapid pace, how handy will be the experience of handling the first wave in tackling this fresh crisis? Is Northeast prepared for the second wave? To discuss this issue and much more, we are being joined in Bottom Line tonight by Dr. K. Rajo from Imphal. K. Rajo is the Director, Health Services, Manipur. Thank you, Mr. Rajo, for joining us on Bottom Line. In the studios in Guwahati, we have Dr. Raktim Tamuli, Superintendent, Kala Pahar COVID Hospital. Dr. Priyam Saikia, Assistant Professor, GMCH and ICU in charge, Kala Pahar Hospital, also joins us in the studios. And we also have Dr. Rakesh Periwal, Critical Care Consultant in the Apollo Hospitals, Guwahati, joining us in the studios in Guwahati. A very warm welcome to all of you gentlemen. If I can go to Dr. K. Rajo first, sir. The second wave is here. The impact has not yet been felt in the Northeast, thankfully. But are we prepared for it?
Yes, now we are preparing to fight the second wave in the state of Manipur. Now we have experienced something from the first wave in 2020. And now we have started preparing to counter this second wave in the state of Manipur. Firstly, now last year there was 2 cases in the March 2020, whereas there are 120 cases in the March 2021. Again in April 2020 there was no report of any positive cases, whereas there are 148 cases till 15 April 2020. So due to this recent second wave in some of the states of the India, we have started taking up all the preventive measures, and we have started screening and testing at the Imphal airport, at the Mao and the Jiribam gate, and all the fever cases are tested at all health facilities. Now we are conducting testing, tracing, and treatment, vaccination, and COVID appropriate behaviors awareness massively. And all the persons entering the have to produce a mandatory negative test of RT-PCR, CBNet, or TrueNet. And regarding the vaccination also, we have starting the vaccination in full swing, starting from the 16th of the January 2021. And during the Tika Utsav also, we have started in full swing. The response is very high from the public, and we have vaccinated 11,101 till yesterday. And we have altogether we have vaccinated 1,02,470 as the first dose, and 54,078 as the second dose. So we have adequate number of protective gears at present, adequate number of oxygen ventilators, oxygen concentrators. But we may need more.
At present, yes, because the number of cases has thankfully not again risen that much in the Northeast. Dr. Raktim Tamuli, just when we thought maybe we are done with COVID, all of a sudden this, and it in a way gives an impression what has happened in the last couple of weeks, and especially in the last 1 week or 3 to 4 days, it also in a way gives the impression that as a nation it caught us unawares.
Definitely, in the month of March, I think at the first week of March, we had hardly 5-6 cases in our hospital, and since then it was gradually increasing. within a week we got 27 cases in the second week of March, and now we have around 160 cases in our hospital, Kalapahar COVID hospital, and altogether in Guwahati we have around 300 cases now. So, we can definitely we can say that there is upsurge of cases in Guwahati, the gateway of Northeast India.
Absolutely. Dr. Periwal, what could have led to this rapid surge all of a sudden? And it happened around about the same time last year, February, March, till January, everything seemed fine, or maybe we are assuming that things were fine because there were not enough tests being conducted maybe across the nation. Well, this has happened again, starting March again, if you can say.
That's the behavior of the coronavirus, very difficult to tame it. And interestingly, we are getting patients who are getting infected for the second time. So, it is not that an infection provides long-term immunity. And obviously, there have been more travel. People have moved from places for business or whatever reasons. And still we are lucky that we haven't caught up like the other metro cities, where there is a tremendous crisis. But I think this is how the virus is going to behave. And I don't know how long it stays till we become immune.
Well, Dr. Priyam Saikia, we thought when there are thousands and lakhs of cases in the first wave, we thought, okay, maybe we have had herd immunity by now. So the vaccine came. To be honest, let's be frank, nobody seemed very interested in taking the vaccine initially. It took a lot of awareness campaigns to actually push people to take the vaccine because people thought, yes, we are done with COVID now, and people were rather apprehensive in taking the vaccine. Now again, we are witnessing a rush for the vaccine because cases have gone up. So clearly, the virus has once again taken us by surprise.
Yeah, I won't say that the virus has taken us by surprise. We always knew that this was going to happen, but maybe midway through we lost a little bit of track and we become complacent, and we were aware that this was going to happen, but that awareness did not, it did not manifest as the behavioral changes. So I won't say that only behavior of us is responsible for this surge. There are so many factors, but we knew that this is going to happen, but probably we did not take the precautions that we should have.
But again, that brings me to another question, Dr. Periwal. Yes, we may say that we didn't take enough precautions, but again, that was the case. If that was the case throughout, almost towards the later part of last year, when things were under control, but we didn't see a surge. The timing of the surge again, almost the same time as last year.
But we are learning our lessons. You are replicating the same what is happening in West. It is not that in India only there is a second wave. If you look across the globe, the phenomena is same. And interestingly, we were also wondering if this is the season. There were a lot of talks in winters having some ameliorating effect, and maybe that was what had happened. And now that we are entering April, May, June, July, where they was peaking, maybe we have that this time. You just don't know. So that is possible. But we all know that there are tremendous amount of strains now circulating. There could be a strain in the name of every city, every colony, every road. It's almost like that. And that's how mutating this coronavirus is. So we are seeing whatever everyone else has seen. Nothing is very unique to us. And that is why I sometimes feel the Northeast might also catch up with what else is happening in the country.
Dr. K. Rajo, well, we are lucky that still the numbers are very much under control in the Northeast, be it Assam, be it other states, be it Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram. Numbers are under control. But one thing is certain, we know from our last experience that we cannot sit complacent because it takes just a couple of weeks for the numbers to catch up. Dr. Raju, if you can hear me.
Please repeat. I cannot hear.
Okay. I'm saying we are still lucky that the surge is not that big, that high in the Northeast so far. But given our last experience, well, it might take just a couple of weeks for the numbers to catch up, the COVID numbers to catch up. So there is no room for complacency whatsoever. In such a situation, what are the special steps that states can take to maybe delay or prevent the untoward?
Actually, I cannot hear properly, but actually the number the number is gradually in the last 2 weeks. Regarding the last 2 weeks changes, in the past 1 week, the number of the cases is first digit, but in the last 1 week, the number suddenly jumps to second digit, and it is gradually increasing. And today we are getting the 31 cases per day, at today's number, but it suddenly increased. The maximum number is today for this month. So anyway, we have we are ready for this encountering this increase in number, and we have informed all the districts and all the CMOs for the taking up the necessary action. And we have activated all the COVID care centers at the districts, and all the isolation centers at the districts we have activated, and the required number of ventilators we have already distributed in the last year. Still they are functioning, and we have ready everything. But manpower is ready, but the exact number of the positive case, today's positive cases, it's so far active cases is 165, and the total number of the positive cases so far 29,610, and the number of recovered cases are 29,069, and that is 376 since the beginning of the last year, and the recovery rate is 98.17%.
Absolutely,
So actually. It is not so much alarming now, not so much alarming. Everything is under control, and our main problem is the drugs. There is shortage of drugs in Manipur. For example, Remdesivir is not available in Manipur, and we're trying to procure from outside, and still we are not getting. The Favipiravir and the others are available. Remdesivir is our problem. We are trying hard to get it from outside state.
Dr. Tamuli, again, what we have seen in the first wave, what we saw in 2020, you can have as many number of beds as possible, you can have as many COVID centers as possible, but if again there is a community spread, no number of centers, no number of makeshift hospitals are going to help. That is there. Infrastructure building is one thing. We put a lot of emphasis on infrastructure building, but infrastructure building is probably not the way to tackle it. It is there because you need it. You need it. But building infra is not the solution. That is for sure. What lesson can we use from the first phase so as to better tackle this second wave, if at all Northeast were to face it?
Definitely, in the first wave, the cases were very less. And the second wave, 500 cases we got within a span of 3 days. So the lesson is that people should not be complacent, as you have already told, and we should be back to our COVID appropriate behavior, which we have lost. We have even forgotten what the mask was. No one was ready to even wash their hands, and you can see what is the at present status of physical or social distancing in Guwahati or whatever in Assam. So no one is obeying. It is not only the responsibility of the doctor to treat the patient, it is the responsibility of the citizen to show the COVID appropriate behavior. So we are, being a doctor, we are always following everything. We are not removing mask, not even anywhere in. Whenever we go from outside our home, we never remove our mask. But we have not seen anyone other than common people, they are not wearing mask. I hardly seen anyone washing their hands. So COVID appropriate behavior should be strictly followed again. Along with that, out of those three, one new thing is added, that is COVID vaccine. Anyone who is eligible, say above 45, they should come and take the jab at earliest. So that is the at present situation is like that. We are no sort of any medicines, we are always ready to treat the patients. So that is, I think before that you should follow the precautions first.
Priyam Saikia, Dr. Priyam Saikia, once again, you know, it's common across the country what we're witnessing, be it Delhi, be it Maharashtra, be it Madhya Pradesh, the states most affected, be it Punjab. Whenever there is a surge in cases, it's inevitable there will be shortage. It's inevitable. Probably distributing patients or segregating patients as per the criticality is the only solution. Again, that's a tedious task. So again, a lot of equations, lot of maths to be done here, and doctors have to be ready for all that once again. My question is, there is something called a fatigue for our frontline workers as well. We have faced the situation for major part of last year, and now we are back again to square one. So, does it seem more challenging this time?
Yeah, if I am allowed to bring one of my personal angle here, I have been looking after the COVID ICU for last 1 year. Just imagine, for last 1 year, almost every day, I was on leave for the time when I was COVID positive, right? I have seen so many deaths, I have seen such scenarios that now I am afraid, and actually I had to take help from psychiatrist midway through, because I was so fatigued, I was so devastated. So yes, I know, and because I know my team members, I know my colleagues, fatigue is there, but we are basically doctors, so fatigue would be there, but we are still there to treat them.
Fatigue would be there, but the job needs to be done. Yes. That's the spirit of the frontline workers that has kept the nation going amid the pandemic, and there's a spirit due to which we have survived this pandemic, I should say. Dr. K. Rajo, what I was saying is that right now the numbers are under control, but already there is shortage of some drugs, as you mentioned, shortage of some medicines, and that shortage is across the country, not just Manipur specific. If there is another second surge, rapid surge like last time, how prepared is the state for that? How prepared is Manipur for that?
Now we had several rounds of meeting with our principal secretary and IDSP team.
Yes, go ahead, I can hear you.
Yes, IDSP team, and we meet regularly with all our teams, and we had a meeting with all the CMOs, DSOs of the different districts, and now we are, last time we have selected about 625 contractual staff for the COVID management. Now we have already terminated. Now we are thinking of again taking of these manpowers again, because there is always shortage of manpower. Because during the COVID time we have to function all our health facilities. So we are trying to fill up these gaps with the contractual staffs. So number one. Number two, we have circulated all the private clinics to increase their number of the COVID beds and ICU beds. And there are about 6-7 big private hospitals in our state. So they are ready for the admission of these COVID patients at their hospital. One of them having about 60 COVID beds for one private clinic, and with about 20 ICU beds. And another second largest is the 20 COVID beds with 10 ICU beds. Like this, we are trying to mobilize the private clinics also. And again, among the COVID care centers, we are selecting 1 or 2 COVID care centers at the district headquarters for conversion of this COVID care center into the COVID facility center for admission of the serious cases with the installation of ventilators and other equipments like the oxygen and oxygen concentrators. Now we are having 400 oxygen concentrators that we have distributed to all the COVID care centers, and we're about 90 plus 5 ventilators, non-invasive as well as invasive. So we have distributed all these ventilators to all the districts, to all the this isolation wards at the respective districts.
And what about what about the testing part in Manipur? How many tests are being conducted per day at the moment?
Part. Yes. Testing, we have tested so far 5,90,239.
Yeah. Right now per day, how many tests is the state conducting right now, if you may know?
Per day we are testing from 1,200 to 800 tests per day. It is a bit on the lower side, but we are trying to increase it. And the testing per million is 1,96,746. Now we have started testing at the airport, testing at these entry gates. Number 1, Jiribam gate, entry gate, and this Maung entry gate. So at this gate we are doing this rapid test. But at the airport we are doing the RT-PCR test. We are taking the sample and we are sending to the these designated testing units. There are 2 medical colleges. One is Regional Institute of Medical Science and another is the Jawaharlal Nehru Institute of Medical Sciences. We are doing these tests at these mainly at these 2 centers. But the testing is also done at the private clinics. Private clinics, there are 2, maximum 3 private clinics. They are doing this RT-PCR and TrueNet with CBNet. Number 1 is Babina Diagnostic Clinic. This is the biggest clinic in Manipur. The second is the Siza Hossan Research Center. They are doing the this CBNet testing, and this TrueNet testing is also done at our districts, 4 districts, Churachampur district, and this Senapati district.
All right, but clearly with the numbers increasing rapidly in the rest of the nation, definitely Manipur needs to step up the testing part. Probably we need far more tests than the current 1,000 or 1,200. Yes. Dr. Periwal again.
We will be able to increase.
Absolutely. That's the need of the hour, of course. Dr. Periwal, Assam, for instance, has been exemplary when it comes to tests, probably not just in Northeast, but across the country. Once again, we saw in this week, last week, on an average, 75,000 tests were being conducted in a day. The state government is targeting 1 lakh tests once again after the Bihu festivities are over. How crucial again is testing, and is testing a big part of the solution in tackling COVID? I'll also take reactions from Dr. Tambuli and Saikia on that.
Identification is the most important part, and picking up these patients early, getting them to monitoring part is very easy. You just need to mostly track your oxygenation and other symptoms. So it becomes very easy, and that helps us in triaging. The problem is not with the number of patients, but the number of patients who need hospitalization, and more importantly, who require critical care services. Those are very, very difficult. You got to appreciate one thing, that this time we are catering to a lot of non-COVID patients. It's not a lockdown state. We are running like normal hospitals. No, picking up with COVID beds, we are running 1/3 in our hospital of what we ran last time. But you got to appreciate, last time the number of non-COVID patients had dropped significantly, but that is not the case. And this time, whatever you may say, somehow the virus is more infective. The doubling number is higher. The number of cases compared to what it was last time in every place is much higher. So the whole problem is getting overwhelmed. No, we fought it fairly well last time, but if the number doubles as compared to last time, oh God, I don't know how we are going to get the resources. We can just pray that we pick up early, testing is one way, and maybe triage at certain ways. No, home care facilities, no, these are administrative things, but can we take our more sick patients also at home, a kind of moderate COVID, not requiring oxygen as yet, but falling saturation, can we deliver drugs to them at their home? We are still not giving injectable remdesivir at home, but somewhere we got to strategize that we can treat these patients, but not necessarily use up hospital beds. We got to appreciate that maybe it will be very difficult to spare all hospital beds for COVID care. That is one huge problem, and obviously this problem of the staff. How many can be there to take care of COVID patients? One good thing is that we have picked up a lot of experience and we have become more efficient. I think Priyam would agree to that now we are able to actually manage more patients than what we did last time.
So good that you can still smile through it. That is something, that's the kind of positivity we need. If we take a very short break here, stay tuned. Welcome back. You are watching Bottom Line. We're discussing the COVID situation across the country in Assam and the Northeast. Dr. Raktin Tamuli, before the break, we're discussing how crucial are the tests. Assam now once again planning to conduct 1 lakh tests after Bihu. We have had 75,000 tests per day in the last 1 week. The good thing is that the positivity rate has been below 3%. In fact, even on days when we conducted 75,000 tests, the positivity rate was below 1%. So that is something probably that gives us a cushion to prepare further, and also keep up the testing, step up, maybe try for the next level. Maybe we have had a very efficient health department and probably target 1,20,000, 1,30,000. I know it's very easy to say, even 1 lakh is a big milestone a day. Even if we conduct 1 lakh tests a day, I think that will be a massive factor in our COVID battle.
See, we probably had 1 lakh tests pre-Bihu once, that you have already told, around 0.6% positivity rate. But doing continuously 1 lakh tests for weeks, definitely it will give us large number of cases. So what is our motto is that test, track and treat. So unless and until we conduct the test, how can we track the cases? So first motto is test. So testing 1 lakh of cases, it is not easy but not tough also. So doing 1 lakh of case will give you a test will give you around 1,000 cases per day. So that we have, again, as Dada has already told, we have to categorize the patient. We have to do triage. Out of those 1,000 cases, how many of the cases they need hospitalization? As the protocol is clearly indicated that this time we can opt for home isolation, and people are now definitely opting for home isolation. And hardly 1 or 2 they refuse home isolation, but people now they are ready to take home isolation. So one thing is home isolation. We can get a 500 cases we can send for home. If we can send 500 cases for home isolation, we will be left with 500 more cases. So out of those 500 cases, we can treat few cases without oxygenation in hospital or COVID care centers only. So we need COVID care centers again, I think. So hospitalized, so to give rest to the ICUs and to the people working in the ICUs, so that they can get the actual cases which they do need the ICUs. So now we have cases in our hospital, you can see out of 160 cases, hardly 40 cases who need oxygen. Other patients, they are completely normal. So those cases can be definitely sent to home, or they can opt for home isolation. The few people, they have problems like they do not have a home in Guwahati or even in Assam. They came for this one tourism or like that, I do not know, but those patients, if we can send for home isolation or COVID care center, definitely load in the hospitals which are well equipped will be less, and we can handle the cases more. So second thing, another point is that track the cases. The contacts, positive contacts should be, we should try to do tracing of the positive cases, which we are not doing for last few months. That is another thing. So health department should come out with doing contact tracing again. So contact tracing will give you at least 30-40% more cases. So what AIIMS director had told, earlier virus, it was giving around 30 to 40% positive contacts, now it becomes 80 to 90. So see what is the scenario going on. If you get one case, around we will get 8, 9 more cases. So it will be like that.
That is, of course, yet to be tested in the region. As Dr. Periwal also mentioned, that there could be a city-specific, a locality-specific strain as well. Coming to that, Dr. Periwal and Dr. Saikia, as laymen, we hear people, experts talking about new variants, new strains. We have heard about the UK strain, the Brazil strain, is there something called an Indian strain? I mean, how different is it? What difference does it make? Any differences between the strains? Of course, there would be. What does it mean? The new, the multiple strains, new strains that people talk about, experts talk about.
Yeah. Before going into what the new strains mean as I mean, with respect to the disease, let us understand that having a mutation is nothing new. It is nothing specific to corona. It is a natural phenomenon that is seen in viruses. Right. So let's not get panicked or overwhelmed by what is this new mutant. Mutation is going to occur, and so we will have new variants. Now, whether this new variant is going to cause a severe disease, increased transmissibility, that is a matter of research, and that we need to look for. Dr. Periwal, what is your comment on that?
Same. None of the coronaviruses have gone away. The other epidemics which the coronavirus has caused, this is a pandemic, but there have been epidemics before, all of them continue to survive. And particularly this virus has this character of maybe you can consider 25% of it keeps changing all the time. So the rest 75% is intact, but it keeps changing, and that was something we had talked about when we last discussed, that is going to happen, and we have seen it. One of the implications that it have is on test positivity, because we had those strains in mind when we kind of designed the test. Another is, as Priyam said, severity and response to treatment as well. Are they going to behave any differently? But what we find this time is that almost all family members are positive, something we didn't see last time. Yes. Whatever cases we are coming across, none of them are in single numbers. Yes. Most of them, even children, which we thought were immune to the disease, kind of, they don't get even contract, and we are seeing positivity in them. I don't know how severe the symptoms are. We're basically treating adult patients, but this is some subtle changes that we are seeing, and what we are hearing from elsewhere as well.
Yeah, Dr. Periwal, this is just the beginning of the second wave, at least in Assam. If this is true for Assam, we have got very small number of patients till now. We should not be, our conclusion should not be based on this small number of patients. But maybe we are looking at that more younger people are getting infected, yes, and they are getting more serious lung damages. And what we have seen from this small number of patients, that the lung damages are occurring a little bit early. So that's a point of concern. I do not know whether that is actually true, or maybe it's just a biased, observation because of the small number of cases that we have seen so far now.
Do you think, again, enough, Dr. Tamuli, enough research is happening on the new variants, the strains in the country? Is there time for that? Are we being able to do that? Because that is also a major factor in tackling the newer strains.
And definitely we need much more research. At present we cannot comment. We have small number of cases in Assam. If you go to India, then definitely hardly we are getting 2 lakh cases. But research is definitely mandatory. But thing is that who will do the research at present? Most of the healthcare workers, they are busy in treating the patients. So if you ask someone to go and do the research, it is not at present at all possible. So research will definitely give you the idea whether the strain is more virulent, it is more severe, whether it is occurring more commoner in younger age group, or it is more common in elderly. So there is no research at present. Everything is speculation. Everyone is saying that it is more common in younger people. But we can think about in other way also, because younger people, they used to move freely all around the country. No? Yeah, that's why maybe they are more exposed. So second thing, that is the another thing. Another thing, what I have noticed, people, they are coming late to hospital at present. Their simple fever, cough, they are ignoring. Once they develop respiratory distress, then only they go for testing. That might be another reason that younger people are more damaged.
Unlike what happened last year, when a simple cough, people were getting themselves tested.
Yeah.
So that is something that people are not coming out early enough to test themselves, because there's a general feeling that COVID is a thing
Gone.
of the past. COVID is gone, and it's not as prevalent as it used to be. Again, time for more awareness maybe, and more focus, Dr. Saikia.
Yeah, definitely. It's time that we should not forget that COVID is here. The number of cases were less. That does not mean that it has gone, because as different Bihu came, election came, so probably the focus from media has also been a little bit less on COVID. COVID has always been there. There was not a single day where we did not have a single patient in our hospital, Dr. Tamuli. We always had patients in ICU. We always had patients in the general ward throughout this year.
Again, do you think still, because the positivity rate in Assam, Dr. Periwal, is still below 3%. See, we have had elections, we have had rallies. We would like to believe that things are all good, because it's almost 2 weeks since the elections. We haven't seen a surge, we haven't seen a lot of complications. So far, so good, should we say, and probably prepare for the future.
Yeah, but the positivity rate also be reflected upon whom are you testing. You are absolutely testing now randomly, compared to how we did it when we began with COVID. We were testing more symptomatic patient. But I will tell you, all cough and cold, we just don't get any other virus. You test them and you find COVID. This is very interesting. We don't get any other viruses like influenza, which we used to have. We used to have patients admitted to ICUs with H1N1. I haven't seen a single patient till now after COVID. That's very interesting. So this virus has actually displaced everything else. And the commonest cause now of cough and cold or upper respiratory tract infection, I think in all probability would be COVID.
Dr. Tamuli, Dr. Saikia, do you think COVID continues to surprise us? Despite we now believing that we don't know a lot about it, it never fails to surprise us maybe.
Yeah, COVID, what I have understood in last 1 year, that it has got a pattern, but the absolute number or the the magnitude of the problem that we will be facing, that surprises us. We always knew that that problem is going to be there, but the magnitude of that problem we cannot estimate probably. That is what I feel.
Would you like to add to that, Dr. Tamuli?
Surprising in the sense, it has surprised in a way that earlier we had 5-6 cases, now we are getting 500 cases. So definitely the behavior of the virus is changing, and it will keep on changing till it becomes a normal virus. So COVID will give you surprises yearly, I think so. For next 4 to 5 years, we have to learn to stay with COVID. We have to, at last we have to say we love COVID.
Well, that's a remarkable way to put it. There's again a rush to now take the vaccine, but we have had some cases, couple of cases here and there, where people have tested positive after taking even the second dose of the vaccine. Once we take the first dose, we have to wait for, now the researchers say that we have to wait for 4 to 8 weeks, preferably if we take between 6 to 8 weeks, that's even better. So even when we take the second dose of the vaccine, does it need more time for it to be effective? Or say if I have taken the second dose, okay, I should assume that I am pretty safe right now, or what should people expect? Because that's the only hope right now, vaccine in a way. Dr. Periwal first.
I think, but if you look at the statistics, it still gives you 70 to 90% protection, or whatever at the best. So you will still have those studies which have not been so long with these vaccines which are fast tracked. Even they tell you that 10, 15%, 20% with whichever vaccine, the patients may still be unprotected. That is one part. And the other part is still, we are still very new in how the immunity will last with the vaccine. So you might have patients having to take the third dose maybe at 6 months or 12 months or whatever, like the annual influenza vaccine, that might happen. And the full effect of vaccine still is very difficult to see in the masses, because there are very few who have got their second doses. We started January 16. So we are not too far, it is just 3 months. So it's a long time to tell about the efficacy of the vaccine, which was given to thousands in trials, but now are being tested in crores of people. How that is going to impact is probably we will get to know by the end of this year. So I think before the end of this year, or maybe next year starting, I don't know, we are going to see the benefits of vaccine already. But yeah, it's good that the process has started, and with whatever immunity it gives, it's good. And the major emphasis has been, you get the disease, but it's less severe or so much good. Nobody fears the common cold. That doesn't bother us. Let it be COVID. What we fear is patients landing up with hypoxia in ICUs, requiring ventilators, draining the healthcare system and the people who are running them.
We are also seeing a number of second time infection. It was believed earlier, once you get COVID, you don't get it. Then some said, okay, you don't get it for 3 months or a year or till the time your immunity stays. But then generally people would like to believe that once you got COVID, you are safe now. It's also like a vaccine, but that probably is not the case. We are seeing a number of reinfections. How serious is that? Because we have a big chunk of the population which has had COVID. They might want to believe that they are safe, but even they are not safe, and that also doubles the challenge for the medical fraternity. Dr. Seke.
Yeah, see, the COVID was, it was detected first in 2019 December, right? So it has been almost 1.5 years. So we do not know much about that disease. So much so we would like to believe that if I've got COVID, probably next time I am not going to get, but that is certainly not true. Even if someone has got COVID and by God's grace, has recovered from it, but still COVID appropriate behavior is necessary.
Absolutely. So it also doubles the pressure on the health sector, isn't it, Dr. Tamuli? Because you can have a number of reinfections as well, and that almost makes the entire population vulnerable once again.
Yeah, definitely. Every people is vulnerable. Once you are positive, Dr. Priyam and myself both are positive, but still we are following COVID appropriate behavior. So people should learn that even after taking vaccine also you should follow COVID appropriate behavior. So nobody can give you lifetime immunity against COVID. That should be kept in mind. So the whole population of Assam is at present under this one threat of COVID. So everyone should be careful while going outside, while going into the malls, while going into the rallies, while going into the bihus. They should maintain the social distancing, they should wear mask, or they should do hand washing, and again the COVID vaccine.
Again, coming back to the first question again, what we were discussing at the beginning of the show. Once again, we can say that the COVID appropriate behavior was missing, but that was the case probably even in October, November, December. We had Diwali, we had Durga Puja, we had Christmas, we had New Year. Relaxations were not there, and all of a sudden now again in April we have 2 lakh cases a day. What could be the possible reason for such a big spike in cases in the last 1.5 months? Dr. Periwal.
It could be the season, the behavior of the virus. They have their own cycles, very difficult to predict. With such a short history of the virus, 1.5 years, we really don't know what causes the transmission. So what we are learning from there is always a lull. Probably some part of the population is affected, there is some kind of lasting immunity. Probably one thing could be that the immunity lasts for a very short period of time, and then we are vulnerable again. If you look at all the countries abroad, this is how the pattern has been. They didn't have a 1-year gap before we started, and you see we are catching up. They are there 2-3 months before us. We saw that second wave in Europe, in South America, everywhere, and now you see the same pattern is following in India. We have the metros affected, Northeast is still protected to a certain extent. I think it's all replicating itself the same way. And what we can say is we are not immune. The virus is circulating around, changing its character. Maybe the weather, season, whatever, epidemiology, travel, something or other is contributing. And the most important part is probably the doubling time this time. As we are seeing in Delhi, you can say. It's just overwhelmed them in the last week. If you look at Delhi, because my aunt is there, she's COVID positive and undergoing treatment, they just were caught unaware. overnight hospital had to be converted into COVID hospitals, which is, I think, didn't happen last time as well, because the numbers were just 5, 10, 15, 20,000, and you just couldn't cater to them. So that is one problem that probably this time it's spreading fairly fast. That's a behavior that we are going to learn. Epidemiologists will give the answer maybe a few years down the line why it happened, but all said and done, it's going to happen.
Yeah, Dr. Periwal, if I may just add, see, last time there was lockdown, so that actually acted as a very effective, contributor of breaking the chain, which is not here
I
this
was
time.
just coming to that question. That was exactly my next question. Well, lockdown, containment zones. Despite that, we had cases. We had over 1 lakh cases. We had lakhs of cases despite the lockdown. Not doctors, but there are also experts who believe that lockdown is not the solution. Of course, if we look at the economic implications, that's a different thing. But even medically speaking, like we have done away with containment zones this time. We all are aware earlier what we saw last year, because we didn't know much about how the virus would behave. So if there was a case in a particular locality, particular road, the entire road would be sealed, the entire locality would be sealed. That is not happening right now. Probably if somebody is positive, tested positive, only that flat would be a containment zone, that house would be a containment zone, but nothing beyond that. Do you think that is the way to go? Because we cannot afford, and it's not about affording it medically. Does it even help that much? Is it worth it making the entire area, entire complex a containment zone if there's one case in one particular room?
I feel that it is not necessary, full lockdown, because we did not know what to expect last year. So, and we needed to buy time to build our infrastructure, to train ourselves. We have already achieved that, and now we know how this virus spreads. So, it is not exactly necessary, because it's not only number of patients. What we need to consider the whole picture as a whole.
Dr. Tamuli, when the numbers increase, for instance, look at Maharashtra, look at Delhi. Maharashtra has in a way imposed a lockdown. When the numbers increase, probably lockdown is the only reaction, not the solution, but the only reaction that probably governments and the authorities can come up with.
That is one reaction. Everybody will be asking for lockdown. Even you have seen it is started in Assam also. So people will always, they will be shouting for lockdown. But lockdown, what gives one treatment? Last year we have learned what lockdown is. But lockdown gives some time to the medical fraternity. It will delay the spread of diseases. So, in Maharashtra, in Ahmedabad, all the hospital beds
to an extent, we should say. To an extent.
Yeah, Ahmedabad, the hospital beds are full. But if it goes a bit slower, so we could have get more time to treat those cases. So suddenly we cannot treat 2 lakh cases in Assam or in India anywhere. So this gives us minimal time to cope up the cases which are already admitted in hospital. It will break up the chain, and it will probably slow down the transmission of the disease, and it will definitely help to some extent, I think.
Last words, Dr. Periwal, way forward from here, we're running out of time.
The golden line is the healthcare workers are less affected this time. We have learnt our lessons. So we are doing well. I hope this fraternity stays well.
And all of you are vaccinated as well.
Yeah, most of us. Yeah.
So that is one cushion you believe that will come handy.
We are. I don't remember. I don't know. In our hospital, we are yet to see a healthcare worker affected.
Yeah, see, Dr. Periwal, I have been working in ICU for last 1 year, and I never got the virus from working in an ICU. that is it. I got it from somewhere else. So it is possible to keep yourself away from COVID, even if you are dealing with the most severest form and where you have got the chance of maximum infection. It is possible.
I'm just tempted to ask this question. Are PPE kits still necessary, or now that we know the virus more, are just probably a proper mask is enough and the gloves? I mean, just asking out of curiosity, since I have
gave them up
doctors, the doctors here who are actually dealing with the...
I have visited the COVID unit of my hospital all the 365 days last year. Since whenever, I haven't taken a break till now. As Priyam was saying, we are running both COVID and non-COVID care. I gave up the idea of PPE then itself, because it was not practical for us. What we will do a lot of job, and it really impairs your productivity. You got to do your things fast and push off from there. So I had switched over to taking a bath after getting through the COVID area, and then we are continuing till now. I think that might also change.
Yeah, but what I feel, Dr. Periwal, is that let us not just simply do away with PP, because I think still the guideline says for certain, it has to be context specific. Like we cannot do away with PP in each and every situations. There are some situations where it is still recommended, but wearing an PP should not give you the impression that you cannot get that disease. You may not get that disease even if you do not wear PP, but your behavior is appropriate. You will still get the disease even if you wear 2 PPs, but your behavior is not appropriate.
Last words, Dr. Tamuli.
Last words is what I urge to the government, that vaccinate everyone, not in phased manner. You cannot do that above 60, above 45, above 30. Vaccinate each and everyone, whoever wants, give them the vaccine, so that anybody, if you want, you can take the vaccine. It is above 45 people can not only getting COVID, everyone is getting COVID. 1 month old baby is also getting COVID, 80-year-old is also getting COVID. So vaccinate everyone who is coming for vaccination. So government should increase the production of vaccine rather than exporting. I think it should be, we should concentrate on giving our own people the vaccine first.
Absolutely. The good thing is that, well, the morale of the medics are still high, the morale of the doctors are still high, and we just hope the second wave never reaches Northeast, never reaches Guwahati. The positivity rate in Assam is still way below the 10% mark, even way below the 5% mark. But then again, with COVID, we never know when things change, but still all we can do is that COVID appropriate behavior. That's the mantra. That's as common people, that's what we can do, and see what happens. Again, our protection, it's back to the basics again. The mask, hand washing, that is something that we cannot give up, at least for the next 5 years or more. There's no harm in doing that. Probably that's what COVID has taught us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Tamuli, Dr. Saikia, Dr. Periwal, for your insightful inputs on the issue. That's a wrap of Bottom Line tonight.